here we are. This is the pod. Jake Reed, you're here. You know, is your title Jake Reed, older person in Quincy, Illinois? Is that your actual title? Do you have any other titles?
Yeah, Jake Reed, 6th Ward alderman. I also have, I think, my first official title in work capacity, Jake Reed, the Salvation Army Donor Relations Coordinator. I never had a title before, so I don't know if that makes.
But
me
do you also
important
have
or
the
not.
title like the Wills Nixon podcast featuring Steve Holman? Do you ever go on those podcasts?
Yeah, I've been on there.
How do you have the guts to do something like that?
Well, it's not hard.
Those guys are
It's
tough.
just-
No,
yeah.
those guys are tough, man.
I
they
don't
don't-
know. Yeah.
They don't. Do they strong arm you like before or after?
No, it was
pod?
very, very cordial. It's mainly what they say when you're not with them on Facebook. So they'll say, this guy, and the numbers change every week on what alderman needs to resign or leave or get voted out of there. So they say, he needs to go. I like him as a person, but he needs to get off there. But then you hang out with him, and they're like, hey, man, we're just going to make it easy, And so they make it easy when you're there. So it's not very frightening.
Yeah, but you guys were having like definitely differences of opinion about the roundabout, but they still had you on their show.
Yeah, I'm fully willing to discuss with anybody, if we have differences.
Well, we're gonna have
That's the best to try to get to the truth.
Well, we're gonna have a really big disagreement today.
Yeah.
About the movies, The Godfather 1 and 2, because you and I were talking, we were corresponding last night, kind of about that, and I kind of want to get you sent me a picture, which I don't know if I'm going to send over to Aspen Gengenbacher or not. So Aspen came in today. She is kind of feeling under the weather. She looks great, like usual, and she's very spunky. And as you can just see that she was just sparring with me.
Yeah.
And
Vicious.
and I think she won the argument. But so now, congratulations, you're like 12 for 12 on our fights. So she keeps on winning all the fights with me, so that's really nice. But Aspen, how are you doing today? Are you still?
I'm a little under the weather, but we're here. We're kicking.
Right.
Doing
So
great.
Aspen produces Frankie Say lately, and I hope she continues to. But if I say the wrong thing, she will do all kinds of terrible things, like mentally to me.
Yeah.
All of her attacks are like mental. They get into my brain and then but she rewires me very nicely. You do a very nice job. I'm really happy that you're taking care of this.
Thank you.
But so I do want to ask you a couple of questions before we start talking about your job as alderman. Can I call you alderman?
Yeah.
Should I call you alderperson or alderman?
I think I just prefer alderman, but that's how it was for forever.
Yeah.
And then the person had to come in because there's confusion about gender and all that stuff. But alderman, I'm fine with.
Can a female be an alderman?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a female
Okay.
can be alderman, or they can be alderwoman, or they can be alderperson. So it just depends on
They
how
could be-
much credence you want to.
They can be can they be like can aldermen be like non-binary older people? I don't know. I'm just making jokes because
Right.
I
That's
think
what
it's pretty
alderperson
funny.
would be, but yeah.
So last night you sent me a picture. Well, you wrote something in a text to me. You said, "Oh, we take movies," because I asked you, I'm like, "What are you? I know I've heard a lot about what you're passionate about, and a lot of Quincy knows what you're passionate about because you are not afraid. There's a lot of things that I think is pretty cool about the way you act as an alderman.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you're not afraid to call yourself an alderman, which I think is
Yeah.
like very masculine. So I appreciate that. But this idea of you are not afraid to be working as a public servant for Quincy and get your message out on social media. You've got no problem getting your message out. I think you've come into Muddy River quite a few times, talk with Ashley and Brittany.
Never.
Never?
They've never invited me on.
Have you just
They've
come
talked
on?
about me.
Wait,
but that's
Are you
okay.
saying this isn't the first pod you've been on at Muddy River, is it?
This is, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true, Aspen? Can you fact check that? Or I mean,
It's all true. I came in here one time before because when I had volunteered to pick up elderly people's recyclables, it was offered on there, hey, you know what, well, maybe we won't have them on the pod or whatever, but we'll give them a T-shirt at least. So I came in, I was like, hey, Bob, can I get a T-shirt? And I was able to get a Muddy River sports T-shirt.
So we should preface, because we're going to get into dangerous territory with T-shirts and the movie The Godfather and some other things. But as always, and I do this for the producer Aspen, that just because I have an opinion, that doesn't reflect Muddy River. If you have an opinion, that doesn't reflect the entire city of Quincy. These are just two people talking in conversationally in a pod.
This is our own opinions.
Yeah, they're just and some of them may be good opinions, some of them may be not as good. But I do want to talk to you about that insane picture you sent me, and I'm tempted to send it over to Aspen, which I won't if you tell me not to, because it's a picture of the inside. This is your movie room. Can I send it to her later?
Send it to Aspen.
All right.
This hasn't been confirmed either. We need to fact check it by her looking at the picture, but her couch is in the picture.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I told Aspen, she interviewed me one day, and I said, hey, I just bought this awesome couch. It's this blue velvet one. It's awesome. The wife and I can sit comfortably and watch movies together. And she's like, oh, yeah, was it this and this? And, oh, that's my couch.
All right, I sent it to you, Aspen. When you see this picture, you're going to freak out.
There's covers on it. But
what room is this?
It's our living room.
Okay. He has an entire wall. It's all, are those DVDs?
Yeah, Blu-rays, DVDs.
Any VHS?
I don't have any VHS.
Do you have any reel-to-reel?
No.
Do you know what reel-to-reel is?
Yeah.
Okay. You mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 35.
Oh, wow. That's the best age.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, 35?
Yeah, it's a good age.
Oh, you're in the sweet spot,
I can still decide, do I want to continue to be overweight, or should I go to the Croc Center and actually work out?
What are you going to do?
I should work out, but
All right, but what are you going to do?
I don't have very good willpower, so
Don't say that out loud.
sorry.
No, you're a man. You stick to your
I
convictions.
need
You have
to,
lots of
yeah.
willpower.
This is true.
Just because somebody has a different political opinion than yours, regarding the sanctity of life, they
Yeah.
can't convince you otherwise. Because
No, not on that, yeah.
Right. Okay. So I do want to talk to you about the movies The Godfather. So you had said to me that one of your favorite movies is The Shining,
yeah.
and another one. What was the other one that you said?
Jaws.
Jaws. And I think, Aspen, I don't know what the most popular movie of all time is. I don't know if it's Citizen Kane. It used to be Citizen Kane. I know The Godfather has been up there. Jaws, I think if you Google most popular movies or best movies of all time, I do think Jaws is in there. I do
Yeah.
think The Shining is in there. I know that The Shining is in the list of scariest movies of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on where you look, too. A lot of the newer websites and stuff, they'll say, ooh, the greatest movies of all time, and there are a lot of new movies. There'll be Avenger movies
I'm going to have
in
you
there.
speak into this mic.
Yeah, there'll be Avenger movies in there and stuff, and I'm like, no.
No, you can't. I'm sorry. I've never seen any of the Avenger movies because I'm 47 years old. But you can't put those in between The Godfather and Citizen Kane, I don't think.
No.
So, by the way, Aspen, I just said that you cannot put the Avengers movies in between Citizen Kane and Godfather. So who's going to come after me for saying that? Is that true?
Well, Citizen Kane is not coming up on any of these lists, actually. According to IMDb, the number one is Shawshank Redemption. But The Godfather is number two, which Godfather's one of my favorites.
You like The Godfather?
Oh, I love The Godfather. Godfather Part 1 and Part 2, absolutely not Part 3, though. I love Sofia Coppola, but she butchered that role. She killed the third movie, for sure.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
Yeah, thank God that she found her track with directing. She's a much better director than she is an actress. But also, that definitely is my couch in that photo. Very impressive wall of movies.
Thank
out
you.
there.
And I'll say about Godfather 3, there's a new cut of Godfather 3 that came out a few years ago. It's much better. It flows a lot nicer.
Okay. Yeah, so I kind of combine Godfather 1 and Godfather 2
They're
together.
the same, yeah.
I combine those two movies into kind of one movie. I just say Godfather Part 1 and 2 is the
Yeah.
best movie of all time. The book by Mario Puzo. I still have my original paperback that I bought at a garage sale a very long time ago. And I read the book first, which I really recommend.
Yeah.
I really recommend reading the book first, but it's going to be too late for most people because
Right.
they're not going to go back and do that. It's like people who watch Harry Potter, they go through the entire Harry Potter series and then like they go back and read the book. No, that doesn't even
can't.
happen. So right now I'm trying to get my kids, my oldest,
Yeah.
to read the first Harry Potter book.
Right.
She's seen the first movie. And so now she wants to see all the other ones.
Like, no.
I spoke with my wife. I go, I don't think it's a good idea for Alejandra to see all the Harry Potters. I think we should go to the library, not buy it off of Amazon.
No. You
But
need
go-
the actual book and hold it.
Go to the library and take one Harry Potter book out, read it, then go back to the library, get the second one, go through that whole process.
Yeah.
And then when she goes and sees the movie, a lot of work will have been done, and then she can see, oh, this is what I read, and this is what actually happened. And I think that's kind of a lost art.
It is, yeah. And to go back and just, because obviously the movies started coming out before the books were finished, I believe.
Yeah.
So to go back to that and kind of recreate that, because I don't think you can really recreate it, as it happened. That's when it's happening.
So if you're a movie, so I don't want to call you names, but maybe like Movie Psycho might be kind of like a label I would throw onto you because
I'll take it because I've punished myself. At one point, I thought,
this.
I want to look at and find what, are old movies good? So I started checking them out from the library, old movies from the 50s, old Marlon Brando movies and stuff. I thought, you know what, by golly, I like them. I watched Citizen Kane, I like this movie. And I kept going and going, and then I would find lists online. What are the 100 greatest movies of the 50s? And I'd start working through that. And then at one point, it was a bad idea. I found a website called They Shoot Pictures, Don't They? And it puts every movie list ever created together. And then it pops out the 1,000 greatest movies of all time. It's not true. There's a lot of very bad artsy French movies out there. They're horrible.
You know what the worst movie of all time is? What's the worst movie made of all time? The worst movie ever.
Moulin Rouge by Baz Luhrmann. It's horrible.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's pretty good.
I couldn't watch it.
Good soundtrack though. Man,
Right, but the songs are butchered.
what do you mean?
Great songs, but they're sung to me terribly.
Oh jeez.
And I'm like, I don't need Ewan McGregor singing the Beatles. Leave that to Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
I did like Christina Aguilera's version of Lady Marmalade.
That's the only good thing from that.
Who else? There were three other female artists.
Was
in
Queen
that.
Latifah on there?
No. So I'm not going to be able to name.
Yeah.
What? But like all. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who was in there. But
Lil
anyway,
Kim? Lil Kim.
Lil Kim was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do without Lil Kim.
Yeah.
She causes
Whatever
all
happened to her,
Well, she
you know?
causes all kinds of problems. Oh, she's still around. But okay, so so if you like movies a lot, do you ever go into the like TV series, TV show like world? So, for example, there's like Breaking Bad and
Yeah.
Mad Men, Game of Thrones.
Occasionally I will.
Do you watch any of those?
Yeah, I'll take like in the winter time is when my wife is most likely going to watch something with me for a longer period of time because she's like, well, we can't go outside in January. It's snowing out. So we'll pick a show and then watch the whole thing. But we usually jump on shows later.
You wait?
I've never watched one episode of Game of Thrones. I'm not saying I never will, but I have the time in my future to
Aspen,
watch it.
have you seen Game of Thrones?
I surprisingly loved Game of Thrones. I am not into like the sci-fi fantasy ordeal, but it was the bomb, I must say, if I'm being 1,000% honest. Yeah.
So if I had to say, I mean, I used to say that The Wire was the greatest TV show
Yeah.
ever. I think the greatest sitcom is probably The Office. Like Shawshank Redemption being the greatest movie of all time. Aspen said it's number one on that list that she found. I don't really disagree. I mean, Shawshank was pretty awesome. That plot.
It's
twist
not
again.
the top grossing movie, though.
Right.
The top grossing is Avatar, which
Yeah.
I did see that movie when I was in 5th grade. I went home and I wrote an email review of it, and I sent it to my entire friends list on my Hotmail email account. I said, I'm now going to be doing regular movie reviews. I think I was literally like 10 years old, and I was like, Avatar moved me in ways that no movie has ever moved me before.
Oh my God. That's a James Cameron film, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just the whole movie's a ripoff of all other movies. Of
Yeah.
the whole story of, cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like cinematically kind of a masterpiece, and I saw it in an IMAX, and I saw it 3D,
3D, yeah.
IMAX.
Yeah, I
and
actually
it was
went
just
to
like,
the theaters.
whoa, it was cool.
I saw it 3 different times, because I was quite intrigued by it. But as the years go on, the more movies I watch, I'm like, it's not more special than other movies.
So I think the greatest sequel of all time is probably Godfather Part 2,
Yeah.
even though I combine them into one movie. But if
Right.
I had to say, I think Back to the Future 2 was kind of good.
Oh,
But
yeah.
sequels are usually not as good as the original.
Terminator 2,
Terminator 2, T2,
better than the
Judgment
original.
Day.
Yeah.
That was better than
Some
the
of
first
the greatest
one, right?
action scenes.
Totally. Yeah, but so Avatar 2, the sequel to Avatar, was that any good? Did you see that?
I didn't see that one, but it is number 3 on this list. And this,
What the sequel
well, I guess
is?
this is according to Box Office Mojo, and that's by IMDb Pro. And
Gross.
that's the one where Avatar is number
I don't
1.
trust 'em.
Avengers Endgame is number 2, and then Avatar: The Way of Water
Oh, highest
is number
grossing.
3. Highest grossing,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes
All right.
sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
And then Titanic is number 4. So, what's his name? James
Where's Gone
Cameron.
with the Wind on there?
Top grossing. I don't know if it
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
top grossing.
Adjusted for inflation.
Well,
Gone with the Wind's up there.
I've never seen Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, it's long.
never seen
it's
it.
like 4 hours long. I think it's good. It's got some wonderful shots in it.
So I need to bounce back to something kind of Aspen. This is where the ADHD kicks in because we're talking about movies, but I want to talk about like local politics for a second.
Yeah.
But since I've got the older guy here,
Older dude.
the older dude, which is not the same thing as an older dude. An older dude and an older dude is not the same thing.
I identify as a 75-year-old man. I wear Skechers slip-ins, and they're all black.
It's hilarious. Do you feel like you have, like, you kind of have a lot of like dad jokes? You do
Yeah.
like a lot of like dry, witty. You're one of those aldermen that are pretty like deceptively funny.
Yeah.
I mean, is the
Yeah.
rest of the council as like what's the rest of the council
Yeah, there's
like?
a lot of funny guys up there. Greg Fletcher's a funny guy. He does kind of the
Who's
same
the
thing.
who's the
jokes.
most entertaining older person on the council? Is
Well,
that
Farha is. Because
By the
he's
way-
a wild card. You don't know if he's going to show up. What's he going to say? What's he going to pull out? He's going to talk about old literature or some old movie. Or I know the movie producer who produced Terrifier 2. Go see it.
So Farha, I hope you're listening to this pod because you know how many times I've reached out to try to get you to come on here, and he wants to, and he probably will.
He's a ride.
Yeah, but I pretty much have to go over to his house,
Yeah.
and like we're gonna have to make grilled cheese sandwiches and sit there and do this by tape recorder.
That's
That could
gonna
be fun, though.
Yeah. That's
Little
going to be
field
the
trip
4-hour
action.
one.
That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. Are we gonna grab all this, Aspen? Are we gonna take all the equipment over to Mike Farha's
I think we
and make grilled
should.
cheeses?
Mike Farha, if you're listening,
Yeah,
invite us over.
You know what?
We'll make you
we're
grilled
gonna
cheeses.
knock on your door and
What-
say that
what's
we're
up with the
from-
grilled cheeses? Where does that come? Does he like those?
Everybody likes grilled cheese.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair. Yeah,
And
that's true.
we'll even cut the crust off for Farha.
Oh, we're really treating him right.
But you said something in the green room when we were talking, and it was super spicy soundbite that kind of piqued my interest. The mayoral race is kind of kicking off, and I'm not really going to talk a lot about that right now. In terms of like, I don't need to get into it unless you want to talk about it. I don't know that much about it. I know Mayor Trope and Dan Brank are running against each other, and I know Linda Moore is running too. And I don't know those three people that well. I actually like all three of them for completely different
Yeah.
reasons, and so I'm not really taking a hard stance on one or the other right now. But you said something kind of interesting about if that vote. Remember how the Quincy City Council did that? it was a vote of confidence or a vote of no confidence. You guys did this in your chambers, and it was a very heated moment. And can you repeat what you said a little bit without getting you in trouble? I'm really like kind of afraid of getting you in trouble here, but you can say this.
Yeah, no trouble. Yeah.
If the vote came back around today, like right now, and you were in the chambers right now, and it came back around to vote for a vote of confidence for the mayor or a vote of no confidence for the mayor, in the green room, you said something shocking. Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So essentially, if the vote was happening today, I would not vote yes in favor of a no confidence to the mayor. At the time, I was looking at it from the perspective of the police officers that we have. They were running high overtime, mandatory overtime. The morale was very low on the police department, and they were just really frustrated. So I was looking at it at there. And before the no confidence vote, they had talked about a memorandum of understanding that the mayor could sign at that time that would allow the police officers to still be able to work for the Quincy Police Department, but live within a 40-mile radius of Quincy. That means they could live in Missouri, but they could also work for the Quincy Police Department. And the mayor seemed to not want to do that, and seemed to say that almost, we couldn't do that because this was generally something that would be negotiated within the union contracts. But it's totally something that we could do. So from that perspective, I was frustrated just with that part. So I voted no confidence, but then I found out later that I didn't see right away because I was pretty new at that time, was there was another underlying political thing that was happening to where I think a lot of aldermen who are in the camp of Dan Brink, who for whatever reason previously, before I got in there, had frustrations with the mayor and felt that the mayor wasn't communicating with them well enough, were kind of pushing this no confidence vote. So that I didn't know about, I was like frustrated after that, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an underlying thing. And you can see nowadays, like last night at the mayoral debate, Dan Brink's using that now as an attack against the mayor, as, oh, well, there was a no confidence vote between the aldermen, but I think behind the scenes it was being pushed by him or people that support him.
Yeah, so you voted back then. You voted for no confidence, but you're saying that you would change that because based on what you know now and based on how you see it.
Yeah, based on what I know now, I know the mayor better. I see what the mayor's doing in the city, especially with all the new businesses that are popping up, all the money that we're putting into the infrastructure, fixing the sewers and everything underneath the streets. I think he's doing a great job there. Amazon facility coming, the battery storage facility that's being built. So a lot of things are happening. There's some hustling and bustling going on in Quincy that I don't think has been happening for a while. So there's a lot of good things on the horizon. So I'm happy with the job he's doing there. It was just whatever relationship he had with the police union, however that got off the tracks, before I became an alderman, kind of in the past. I'm glad the memorandum of understanding was signed after that, so that now, and it's kind of related to the firemen and a lot of people who are on the union and work for the city, can live 40 miles outside of Quincy. So I think it's a good thing. I don't know if the no confidence vote helped push that matter to the mayor finally deciding, okay, I'll sign this outside of union contract negotiations. But
do you think that that we need more or less older persons on the council? I hear that Quincy has kind of a lot of people on the council for the size of Quincy, and I've heard people say, we only need like 8, or how many are there? 14?
14, yeah.
14 aldermen on the council. And have you ever heard that? When people say that there's too many?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't think, we had voted to raise the alderman's rate per meeting. I was against the amendment to make that happen. I was fine with raising the salary for our treasurer and Laura Oakman, our city clerk. I was against the amendment to raise the price for aldermen because I think I don't really need the money or anything like that. So I think I don't even think we should necessarily really get paid. So I'm fine with not getting paid for my duty as alderman. stuff like that.
I heard your insurance is pretty good.
Yeah, the people who are
I'm thinking about
grandfathered in, that's not a thing anymore.
I'm thinking about running just so I can get the insurance.
You don't get the insurance if you're an alderman now.
You don't?
Yeah, it was changed.
Really?
Years ago. So certain aldermen are grandfathered in. They still get the insurance, but it's not a thing for new aldermen any longer.
How's that? Can you hear Jake's audio? Okay. Is it pretty good? All right. I just want to make sure you speak in there. But you're doing a great job. You're killing it. I'm so fascinated by our local city council. I think people who don't really know a lot about like city government, I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
I can kind of talk about the national stuff. People talk about bicameral situations up, on the national level, and we know how many senators there are per state and House of Representatives, and we know kind of how the three branches of government. But I think that the way that the city council works, particularly this city council, generally the system is really interesting. It's 14 people, and they're really, quote unquote, making all the decisions. And in this situation, is it the mayor? Is the mayor supposed to serve the city council like an executive director serves a board? Like generally, how does it work? Is the mayor supposed to be communicating well with all of the aldermen, and then the aldermen make decisions? Like, what is your experience? You've been an alderman for how long?
Year and a half.
Okay.
So yeah, essentially, the mayor's kind of like the CEO or whatever of the city. So he's making really all the decisions. He's dealing with all the department heads directly, guiding them on how they should go. So he's kind of setting the guideline for everything. And him and all the department heads and the team behind the scenes, they're coming up with all the kind of projects. The aldermen have input on all that stuff, especially in our own ward, on what projects we should pursue. He'll ask us opinions on what more broad projects, outside of the ward, like through streets like 12th Street and stuff. Should we do this? Yeah, he's kind of setting the standard, and they're really behind the scenes talking with help from the aldermen, with the public, on coming up with, this is what we're going to do. This is what my administration wants to do. I don't necessarily see a lot of aldermen going, I have this idea, let me build off of this idea and create this idea and then show it to the mayor. So I see a lot of times some of the aldermen sitting back and just saying, oh, well, you come up with this. Well, I say, no, I don't want to do that project. No, I don't want to do, the roundabout, for instance. No. But then there's not necessarily another idea coming after that, like, well, what do we do with this money? That this fund that we created for the roundabout, what do we do with that money? What project do you want to see specifically put forth? And are you going to work with engineering to engineer this project and push this project forward? That doesn't necessarily happen.
Well, so when the roundabout, if the roundabout doesn't happen, which I know it was going to happen, that's not going to happen, but just generically speaking, when a project kind of gets declined, do you feel like the city has a hole burning in its pocket when it's got money? It's like, okay, we have this money, we should spend it because, and you get deep in like some of the social media in Quincy. I see what you write, and you're very good at getting your point across without being offensive. You're very nice. I mean, everybody thinks you're like a super nice guy, and you're a nice guy. You're really good, and I like your demeanor. And heck, you might be mayor someday. But what are you looking around at for?
I just do that
do
for comedic effects.
It totally worked. Aspen's dying over here. Aspen's no longer afflicted. She's cured because she's been laughing the entire time.
Laughter is the greatest medicine.
It really is. But do you feel like the city council? I do feel, and this is not a bash on the city council because I know well over half the city council, and there's some new faces that came out of nowhere. This always gets me. Speaking of Farha's always there.
Yeah.
But then there's new faces. I'm like, oh, who's that? Oh, that's so-and-so. I'm like, oh, okay, that's so-and-so's sister or so-and-so's mom or so-and-so's whatever. I go, oh, okay. And then I still see Farha. And then all of a sudden there's a new person that pops up. And there's 2 or 3 seats in the council that I never know who they are, but I feel like it's the same seats all the time. Like Jack
Yeah.
Holschlag, always see that guy. But then there's other seats that I'm gonna say, or like Sasson or Ryan. Those guys have good health insurance.
You look at the third ward, the seat that is ever changing, just all the time.
Yeah, who's in that seat right now?
It's Ken Holtz. So he's kind of a background guy, older gentleman, not that outspoken, doesn't have Facebook or anything, but follows politics locally. He always goes to, there's the Monday morning meetings that every Monday, unless it's a holiday, at the American Legion at 7 o'clock, everyone meets there. The mayor's there. Tony Gruten's the sheriff's there. Ty Dialer's there. A lot of people are there. There's judges. That's how I got involved. But he's always at that. He's involved with the Optimist Club. He's always running around doing stuff. But, you don't really know who he is. But he was appointed because he said, hey, I want to get into the seat. But now you have in the third ward 4 different Republicans vying for that Republican nomination in the primary. So now, it keeps getting, appointed. Now it's a hotly contested seat.
Dang.
So we'll see what happens.
That's spicy. So, but do you think that there's kind of this is my opinion, but I kind of want to get your opinion. I think generally it's very unfair that the taxing pyramid is kind of upside down. And I've said this in prior pods. Aspen, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this.
Oh, I'm with you.
But for example, Quincy, they want a roundabout, they don't want one. They want a musical area down by the river, then they don't want one. They want a splash pad, then they don't want a splash pad. Okay, so Quincy is we're all arguing with each other about how to improve our community, and we have very limited funds.
Yeah.
And the capital allocation is hotly contested. It's very much debated. I mean, it's hardcore. That roundabout debate, we don't need to beat that horse.
Right.
We don't need to. If you want to, we can, but I feel like generally in Quincy, you have to really fight very hard to get what you want, which is fine, but it's unfair that the taxing pyramid is upside down. For example,
Yeah.
we give so much of our money to the feds and to the state. All that money goes out, and we generally that money does not come back in. Okay?
No.
Generally, it does not. So, for example, if someone's effective tax rate is, let's just call it like 18%, 20%, that's kind of like a
Right.
kind of a norm. So you're gonna, I'm gonna be paying for an Aspen, and we're gonna be paying for a presidential library in a state that we don't live in, for a president we don't like, and they're gonna spend millions and millions of dollars on this big, huge building. And there's the Reagan library, there's the Obama library, there's the Clinton library, there's gonna be a Trump library if there isn't one already. There's gonna be, and I don't know why we have to spend so much money on these pet projects, or giving money to Ukraine or Israel, or holding, being the police, the world enforcer all across the world. I don't understand why we have to do that. And then we get almost nothing for ourselves. That is upside down. We should be able to have an indoor soccer league in Quincy. We should have like this big, huge, massive indoor athletic arena where we bring people in. Can you imagine that Quincy, and I've said this before, Quincy doesn't have like a famous soccer tournament. How? Quincy's a soccer town. You got guys like Tanner Freiberg that will bring, like the Tanner Freibergs and Trevor Becks and Adam Booths.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys they're kind of heroes in that they go out and they're not complaining. They're not saying, "Oh, this can't be done." They go out and they use money, they use leverage, and they use their political interference or their influence, and they make things happen. I think it's a beautiful thing. Like Tanner just decided he's going to have this basketball tournament. But how does Quincy, like a soccer town like Quincy, not have a soccer tournament? Well,
Right.
So, but we're arguing about roundabouts.
Right.
We're going to, $5, $6, $7 million, however much the roundabout was. Originally, it was probably $1 million, then climbed to $5 million.
The roundabout by itself, the intersection was $2 million, which is a lot for one intersection, $2 million. The rest of the money, the rest of the $3 million, was for the outerlying streets on 4 sides of it. especially on 48th Street, widening the street, adding a shoulder, and putting a sidewalk there 1,000 feet from the intersection.
Okay, well, that's fine.
But still,
it's what I'm saying is though,
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is not a slam on the city council because I'm not privy to what everything. I don't know what you guys know,
right.
but just on the outside looking in, it looks like historically, and not even like the present group, but some of the guys in the present group, some of them like feel like the answer is no. What's the question?
Yeah.
It's no. Oh, you want to do this project? No. Or like even before they even hear what it's for, it's a no because they don't want to spend the money. But how does it work? Like when you're in the council and you're working within all of these people and working inside the city, is the general feel, what's the take that you like? How do you feel about the behavior and like the philosophy of spending money? Like how does the council general feel? Do they generally feel like, no, we don't want that stupid thing on the riverfront. No, we don't want this. No, we don't want that. I mean, is there anything that they're for? Does anybody
Right.
on the council have any like idea that they're working with Grediff, the Tanner Freibergs, Trevor Becks, Adam Booths? Like there needs to be like a group think tank, and there's people like Maggie Strong who are very good at getting the ideas out and disseminating, all the people's. I mean, she's very, very good. She's a massive asset in the city, and I know the current mayor is he's a big idea guy. Kyle Moore
Yeah.
is a big idea guy. But what does the city council, does the city council work on anything to try to build? Because I mean, I know that's supposedly Grediff's job.
Right.
But to your,
Yeah, there needs to be more because it seems like sometimes it's just I'm not necessarily going to work with anyone on a plan, and I don't know all the conversations that they're having behind the scenes that I'm unaware of with the department heads and stuff like that. But then when you get up there, it seems like it's just, oh, this project is coming, this bigger project. Well, I don't like it because I don't think we should spend money there. We need to fix the roads and what's under the roads and stuff. But they're not saying specific roads that they want. They're just saying, well, my ward, I advocate for this ward. And if the money's not being spent in my ward and I don't necessarily like it outside of my ward, then I don't want to spend it. And then a lot of, I'll call it grandstanding happens a lot. So people say, well, people are asking questions and stuff, but sometimes I look at it as, no, they're just grandstanding because they don't like the mayor and they disagree with the mayor. And they're creating controversy that doesn't necessarily have to go. Like I said beforehand, I don't know what their relationship was with the mayor. Now that I'm in there, the mayor does communicate with us frequently. If you call him, he'll tell you. I think he's like everybody else, kind of, maybe he doesn't tell you certain things. I don't know. Some projects I think he was holding on to. So there's not like he's the perfect mayor. I think, the Amazon project that he later, did a press conference on and talked about, he never, at least from my perspective, he never said anything about the Amazon facility. I kind of knew about it. I talked to some other people, and they're like, look, man, it's exactly kind of what you think it is. We're not going to tell you that an Amazon facility is what's going to be built there, but it's just what you think it is. So I kind of knew that an Amazon facility was going to be built, but I think he wanted to hold it back because it is an election year and announce it with Kyle himself. But he didn't invite the alderman to that. So he's not a perfect guy, but if you call him and ask him questions and stuff, he'll communicate with you. Every Friday he sends out, hey, this is what I did this week. This is who I talked to. This is what's going on. I talked to for EAS service for the planes, we got some stuff. If you want to find out anything further, call us. But I think, so it's kind of a two-way street. I think a lot of the aldermen are like, well, I'm not going to call him. And then he's like, well, I'm not going to call them because they never answer my call. So it's kind of like this just bad communication going on between them. But if people sat down and talked and wanted to talk genuinely about something, I think any of the aldermen probably would.
do you think the city council feels like what's your general feel? Do you think that the council wants a change of leadership so everybody can just get along better and have more open communication? Because
I think certain people do, and I think certain people on the city council feel if Dan Brink's up there, they'll get along better. But I don't know that that's necessarily a good idea. I don't know that Dan Brink's necessarily going to be a great leader and push forward anything that the current mayor already isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, the current mayor is doing all this stuff. He's doing this, and then Dan Brink's like, well, I want to do this. And that's like, truthfully, the mayor's already doing that and pursuing that same thing.
Okay.
So he's not necessarily bringing any ideas, but I think he would get along better with certain aldermen who are up there.
Is it cut down the middle? Is it half the council has some type of issue?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's half the council.
I mean, out of 14,
I'd say it's a handful.
A handful.
4 to 5.
Okay.
Maybe more on certain days, depending on the subject.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to have one or two people that's not going to agree. Out of 14 people,
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to have at least one or two people that are not going to agree with you or maybe not like you. You know, even if you're a likable person, you're going to have one person. Like, you just cannot please everybody.
Right.
But if it was like 10 people, you know, that didn't want to work with the mayor, that could cause more of a problem. Does the city council, are they able to fully appreciate, you know, all like the people that are just like, the answer is no, what's the question? Do you think any of them are taking a look at maybe the promenade now being, you know, it's almost done? Like right now, did you see what they're doing right now on the promenade? They're putting in the trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they're planting the trees. Aspen, did you see that at all? Did you see them put the trees in there? So Bergman Nurseries came over today and started, you know, they're putting in park benches and trash cans and planters and trees. And I was really hoping to get one of those big, you know, 3 or 4 inch saplings in front of our building, but we got this little dinky. We got the runt. Yeah. So I'm not gonna complain about it because I'm just happy it got done. But do you think back to the question? Do you think that the council, the people who are kind of unfriendly to that project, do you think that they can appreciate projects like that in which the private market and the public market get together to work on something, which I believe is the blueprint for how government should work with its people? Like literally working together. That to me was
Right.
the blueprint.
Oh, yeah.
For how to do something.
I think it's good. But I don't know that they'll necessarily change their mind. They were just of the instance, like, you know, TIF districts. Well, it went for so long, it didn't do anything. But, you know, from my understanding of it, I mean, it needs to go on for a while to be able to actually produce money and get money put into that pot. So to continue it, I'm fine with. Plus, when you have the other TIF districts that pop up and they're connected, that TIF district can use the money from that pot to continue, you know, rebuilding things. So, I mean, maybe over time they'll see, you know, once they see, you know, it's open and everything's hustling and bustling, and whenever some community thing is happening there and it's closed down and there's a bunch of people there, you know, going to the brewery and going to all these different shops and stuff, and seeing that impact, especially with our tax dollars, I think maybe they'll change their mind, because a lot of people out there say, you know, downtown's dead. I don't even know why we're putting money into downtown at all. It's just stupid. Why are we doing that? But I think it's a difference of opinion, and they just don't consider the downtown viable or whatever. But they'll say, well, any money put down there, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. And they'll look at the smaller percentage of money that goes into, like, you know, fixing up the apartments on different places in the TIF district, and they'll look at that and they'll almost act like, well, that's where all the money's going to. It's like, no, most of the money's going to actual infrastructure projects to improve the city's infrastructure that we own, and it's looking better and it's looking more viable, and a lot more people are going to start coming in to the downtown, especially with Father Tolton, whatever happens there. So I think it's a great idea, but people want to focus on all the negative parts about it that they can nitpick from.
What do you know about the Father Tolton project? You know, there's that the church on Main Street, you know, St. Boniface, and I know that is it the Preserve Commission? Not
Yeah,
the Quincy
Preservation.
Preserves, but the Preservation Committee.
Yeah, that
Right.
your dad's on.
Yeah, he is on that. Boy, he was all fired up. You know what he did? So I'm going to get my dad in trouble. So he calls me. He comes back from one of those preservation meetings, and he goes, the bishop and his toadies. The bishop didn't show up, but the bishop sent his toadies.
The lawyer.
The lawyer. And and a couple other 2 or 3 people, and they're trying to tear that church down, and And this, by the way, this is not how my dad talks. So I'm doing a very bad impersonation of my father.
You know,
He's like, yo, arr, points at the sky and yells at the clouds. No,
he's 89.
He does not. He's not old.
No.
But no, he called me and said, when we walked the diocese people into the church, they had and then started listening to us about
Right.
what we were trying to do. They had a complete change of heart. They kind of just melted when they walked in that church. They're like, okay. And then something happened. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was the spirit of Father Tolton that came down.
Well, they were showing us very specific pictures, maybe in the back or somewhere, that you don't see in like the rectory or whatever when you walk in. The actual place, like the beauty of it. Because I'm on the preservation committee with him, and we walked in there. I was like, "This looks beautiful. This is amazing."
No, I didn't realize you were on the committee.
Why would we want to tear this down? I think what happened, the vote, there was no controversy around it. It might have been the roundabout that saved St. Boniface because no one was paying attention to, should we, preserve St. Boniface or not? They were all like, the roundabout, and then like, hey, St. Boniface, and no one really gave it a second thought or anything like that.
Really?
And the vote went by. I thought it maybe would be a more controversial vote. It was the first time it got brought up, well before I was up there, and it went like, I think 11-3, in favor.
What's your opinion about what should happen in that building, the St. Boniface Church? What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I think either way it should be preserved. If the diocese, they don't want anything to do with it, then sell the building, because certainly someone will buy that building and upkeep it.
Yeah, the diocese.
And I think that money being raised, I'll talk to Chuck Schultz, and he's like, yeah, I got it. Money needs to be raised. We're there.
Really?
Yeah, people have broad connections that I could never fathom or dream of to be able to get money for that place when I think when it comes to a head, so.
Interesting. The Holy Spirit just sweeps down.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
has all of this power.
I'll trust you. I don't know.
That's amazing, though. Like the story of Father Tolton, and I don't think I mean Muddy River has put out an article or two or maybe more. Heck, I don't know, but Muddy River has done some reporting on it for sure. I don't know if was that David Adam that was doing some of that reporting. Aspen, do you have any idea? Yeah, I mean, Muddy River has definitely talked about this, but there's something kind of special about that man. So we're talking about a slave from Missouri, breaks free, gets his freedom, comes to Quincy. He wants to be a priest, and the Catholic Church. This is ironic. This is ironic that the Catholic Church said no.
Right.
I mean, they didn't want. This is back in the 18. This is kind of during, I guess, post Civil War Reconstruction, where Quincy is relatively famous for the Underground Railroad, and
Right.
so you've got a lot of people who were in Quincy, a lot of Catholics, a lot of those German Catholics. Did you find anything, or no?
Yeah, I mean, David wrote about it, but just because he covers city council, and that's something that they've been talking about at city council.
Has there ever been any kind of robust journalistic piece that talks about Father Tolton? And I don't know if there is.
It looks like there was some kind of video done, at some point. I don't know.
So this man, talk about things that are important in Quincy history. There's people, there's a really good pod. Is it called Wild Quincy? And they talk about history. And then you got the barber from Gold Line. He knows a lot about history.
He knows more about the Quincy history than most Quincyans.
You mentioned Chuck Schultz. I don't think, yeah. What do you
Okay,
got?
I officially found the video. We did it at the beginning of August, and Mark McDonald and Randy Phillips did a video on it, and we can put the link to that video in the show notes.
Cool.
I don't know if we have show notes, but if we do, then we'll put it in there.
Well, you're the producer. If we have show notes, it's going to be up to you.
Okay, perfect.
But, but this man comes to Quincy, and he wants to be a priest. He wants to serve God. And, the Catholics obviously put him through. And he became the first, North American priest, black priest.
Yeah.
And obviously the Catholics came through. It's the people who who don't know a lot about the Catholic religion, and they just want to hear about all the negative things they hear about in the news, and then you got Catholics who are fighting so hard to keep that from happening because evil penetrates things.
Oh yeah.
You know, do you believe in evil?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, any institution is going to try to protect themselves no matter what. And all institutions have this problem. The school system, Hollywood, obviously, for sure. And when bad things happen, they go, well, this is going to affect us and make us look bad, and they'll try to hide it.
Yeah, and that's wrong to try to do that, but
Right.
also an organization that's so big. I don't know what the largest organization in the world is, but I think it's Roman Catholicism is the largest single organization in the world. It has incredible power, but the point is, this guy, Father Tolton, Father Gus comes in here, and he's in Quincy, and those of you that are listening that don't know what we're talking about this church in Quincy that's on Main Street called St. Boniface, and Father Tolton, broke bread there literally, and he also was at St. Peter's, I think, for a little bit, and he's up for canonization. And there's 3 levels. To become a saint in the Catholic Church, you have to go through massive scrutiny. You have to be venerated, which he has been, which is the first level of the process of becoming a saint. The second level is beatification, and that's a whole other level. And then the third level is canonization. So you go through that process, and then the Pope and the cardinals, everybody votes, and they have to find. They used to have to find 2 miracles, and now they only have to find 1.
Yeah.
Which is like, why are you making that change from 2 to 1? Are they ever going to go, no, well, you don't have to have miracles, but you just have to avoid McDonald's chicken nuggets, and then we can maybe make you a saint. I don't know. But Father Tolton, this thing, I'm really happy. I guess I didn't know that you were on the preservation.
Yeah, I get thrown on things like we need someone. I just go, I don't know anything about that thing, but I'll go on the committee and I'll learn. So I'm on the aeronautics committee. I've never ridden on an airplane.
You're so full of it. You are not on the aeronautics committee.
I'm on the aeronautics committee. I've never ridden on an airplane, but they need aldermen to be on there so
Wait,
we
hold on a
can
second.
listen to the experts and then gain knowledge that way and then vote on certain things. Okay, that seems reasonable.
Wait. Did you say that? Are you being serious that you've never been on an airplane?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I've never needed to go on one. Whenever I travel, I'm like, hey, let's go to the West Coast, and we'll just travel across the country. I always thought it'd be much better to drive, even though it takes longer, it's more difficult, but you get to actually see the country. So I'll just go out cruising and driving.
Did you see how we just went from Father Tolton to he's driving out west because he's never been on an airplane? See how wacky it gets? It's wacky. I'm not saying it's right, but that's what happens. Why would you? Are you scared of planes a little bit?
No.
Is your wife?
No, she's flown. She's gone overseas, lived in Italy for a little bit. But I will say this, I've seen all 4 airport movies from the 70s. So if those movies won't scare you enough to go on a plane.
Wait, what's an airport movie?
The airport movies. In the 70s, they made a series of airport movies. So essentially what the airplane movies were, making fun of.
Oh, they were?
They're making fun of the airport movies.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Wait,
there's airport movies, and they're like, hey, remember all these famous actors from the 50s are in them. And they're all old now, but like Charlton Heston's in there, Jimmy Stewart, Burt Lancaster. They're good fun, if you just want a good weekend when it's snowing out, pop in the airport movies.
Okay, so I am 100% going to watch these. So are you telling me that the funny, like Leslie Nielsen airplane movies, which I figured was a parody of something, you're saying the airplane movies are a parody of the airport movies? I love the. Have you ever seen Airplane, Aspen? Oh, you got to watch Airplane.
Yeah, you got to watch
Airplane.
Airplane.
It's hilarious. There's Airplane 2.
Yeah, no,
it's so funny.
It's not the best, but
is the Airplane 2? That's another example of a sequel that's not as good as the original.
Oh yeah,
because
comedy sequels very rarely are even good, to be honest.
Right. No, I mean sequels generally are not good.
Right.
And then comedy, not good.
Especially
Except
sequels
for
decades after the original Gladiator 2. Why?
Yeah, why are they doing this?
Why?
Why are they doing this?
Russell Crowe's fat now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
you
in
can't-
the Unhinged movie, and he's
Right.
like,
I will say though, you talk about comedy. I do think National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, that is kind of a sequel, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Isn't that a sequel?
Yeah.
Like that, and then I think National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is the best out
Right.
of all. Now, when they go to Europe, have you seen that one?
Yeah, it gets bad.
Rusty.
Yeah. Right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. 'Cause they used to always be on TV.
They
Just
were?
in America. Yeah. The vacation movies. That's why Shawshank Redemption is so famous, because it was just on like TBS or TNT just every day,
Okay.
always on. That and Jaws was the same way. So these movies get very popular because they're just running on TV constantly.
So you said that so we're going to end the pod on this. Just kind of do like a full circle thing. When you say that Jaws is one of your favorite movies and The Shining is one of your favorite movies, do you realize those are both horror films?
Yeah, I love
Okay.
horror movies.
All right. So you have a very lovely wife, Lana. She's friends with Rachel. They get along famously.
Yeah.
Rachel will not watch horror films.
Yeah.
Will Lana watch?
Yeah, because I married her, and then she said, if I watch these horror movies, you can't, I used to work nights at DOT, so I had to, change my schedule to days just because I have new responsibility now. I'm married, have a house, so it's a good idea anyway. But she's like, I'm not going to watch these scary movies, and you're going to work nights, and I'm just home alone. I'm not doing that. So I was like, okay, and then we would watch, The Exorcist,
Oh,
The
my
Shining.
What were these her first viewings?
Yeah. Yeah, she had watched very few TV or movies in her life. She's from Payson, so mainly they read books there. And they didn't have cable growing up, which is probably not the worst thing. So she wasn't, too familiar with, graphic horror movies as I was. But
So she's a very nice person.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll just tell you my interactions with your wife. When you say that she doesn't like horror movies, that sounds right. I would not think that she does at all. She's just a very well-rounded, awesome person. We can't say enough good things about your wife.
Yeah.
We knew your wife way before we knew you.
oh yeah,
No offense.
yeah.
But she was just anyway. And
She was a mover and a groover. She
Yeah.
worked at the art center, and she knew everyone.
Yeah, she knows a lot of people.
Now I know the other half of everybody. So together, we know the whole city.
Well, tell you what, we're probably going to have her on next. Is she as
I
funny
don't
as
know
you?
if
Is she as funny as you?
No. That's just truthful, but yeah,
Well, anyway.
I don't know that she'd come on.
No, she would not.
No, she'd be like, I'm not doing that.
No, because this is like another version of a horror movie. It's coming on this podcast. Jake Reed, alderman, older Superman. Thank you so much. So alderman from what ward?
The 6th Ward.
Okay. Well, your people are very lucky to have you, and they can call you.
They can call me. I'll get back to them.
They can call you. They can email you. What is your preferred method of communication?
Call me. I like to have, let's go out to coffee if you really have something that you want to discuss. I want to have sit-down conversations with people and really get to know, what they think. My favorite part was campaigning because I knocked on, 1,400 doors, it felt like. Maybe not that many, but 1,400 people or so. I talked to a lot of people.
Man, you are never going to lose that seat unless you do something really, really bad, which you're probably not going to.
Well,
'cause
if you
you're-
look on Facebook, there's a lot of comments against me. I
No.
make both sides mad, Frankie.
You're like, and I mean this in the nicest way, you are a well-adjusted, super good-natured, goody two-shoes with a strong backbone. Is that a fair assessment?
I think so. I wish I could speak better. Sometimes at the end of council meetings, I want to speak on a serious topic, and I didn't write it down or think about it before, so it sounds mumbled and jumbled, and I sound like a fool.
You have to write your notes out.
No, I never write notes. That's my problem.
You have to write your notes and say, in new business, no, not new business, announcements, right? Yeah.
Yeah, new business.
Robert's rules, got it.
You get to talk about whatever you want,
Yeah.
I guess.
Hey, so thank you so much for coming on. We'll have you on another time.
Yeah.
We'll appreciate it. Aspen, thank you so much. And that's it, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for the couch.
See ya.